Well, tomorrow night we'll be filling out our census forms, but we won't see the findings until next year. So here at Channel 9, we've come up with our very own snapshot of the nation. To take us through it, I'm joined by leading demographer KPMG's Bernard Salt. Good morning to you.
Okay.
First of all, let's go with the results straight away to give people an idea on what we might be seeing in a year's time. The study suggests there are two types of Australians. So first there are the leaders, and then there are the laggards.
Indeed. In fact, I think that you can categorise Australia into two categories, two tribes, if you like. There are the leaders, the people that eat out, that have multiple credit cards, that go on holidays, that very urban, modern, contemporary 21st century lifestyle, if you like. And then there is the laggards, the conservators, if you like. These are people that have no credit cards at all. 17% of Australians have no credit cards. Other people go on no holidays throughout the year. They live a very conservative lifestyle. So in fact, you've got these two extremes competing for the same space. It's a question of who is actually going to win out in the 21st century.
Interesting stuff. More than 1/10 of the population as well are taking holidays. You mentioned holidays 3 or more times a year. That seems like a high amount.
Well, in fact, the people that are most likely to take holidays are Generation Y, 25 to 29, and then the over 60s. And it sort of makes sense when you think about it. These are the people with time and money on their hands. The other factor, the most people who take holidays actually live in Brisbane. For whatever reason, Brisbane people are predisposed to taking lots of holidays. Perhaps it's having the Gold Coast just down the road that makes it easy.
Well, I mean, Brisbane's a perfect place to live anyway.
Well, perfect place to live, and lots of options up and down the coast.
True.
Oddly, Perth people take very few holidays, perhaps because it's so far to actually get to a holiday destination.
Yeah, it's so isolated over there. Now, we are increasingly time poor, aren't we, as well, with a lot of people opting for takeaway over the traditional family meal. What are the trends in regards to dining out that we're seeing these days?
Well, in fact, this is part of the defining characteristics as to whether you are a leader or a laggard. The people that eat out most in society are, again, 18 to 24-year-olds. This is Generation Y. Maybe if you live at home with mum and dad, you can afford to eat out several times a week. But I think it's also a reflection of the modern lifestyle. People in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane eat out several times a week. People in Perth, again, very, very different. What is emerging is a very different Australia from the eastern seaboard to the west coast.
Like a different country.
Almost like a different, more conservative, perhaps, richer households, but very content to live at home.
OK, let's talk about credit cards. We know that 1 in 6 loves them, can't get enough of the credit card, but also 1 in 6 has sworn off them.
Exactly.
What's the difference?
Well, it seems again that there's a real difference here. 17% or 1 in 6 Australians choose not to have a credit card at all. And if you think of the fact that credit cards have been around for 40 years, we still haven't got complete acceptance of this form of transaction, if you like. The internet, by comparison, 91% of Australians use the internet. The internet is far more extensively accepted into Australia than credit cards.
Well, let's talk about that, because I know that social networking has a very high number of people using that as a form of communication.
Very much so. In fact, social networking within a decade, in the first decade of the 21st century, social media is perhaps the social change that has distinguished the residents of the 21st century from the residents of the 20th century. It's almost a complete acceptance, if you like, of social media, particularly email, then Facebook, then MSN, and other forms as well. Twittering, of course, as well.
That one. Also, let's talk about online dating. That seems to have increased in popularity.
Well, in fact, online dating is very popular with the 50-somethings, believe it or not.
Yeah.
That's when you tend to jump online. Interestingly, those people who are least happy in their relationships are in their late 40s. So if you're unhappy in your relationship in your late 40s, by your early 50s, you're then looking for online dating to re-partner.
What percentage of people who are doing that are married?
Well, okay, I don't know. We didn't ask that question. We're very discreet in the questions that we asked.
All right, but interesting stuff. Always good to talk to you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for that.